And at first I had a bit of an issue with Representative Cullen killing so many bills, but the reason that he gave makes perfect sense. It's because the bills included rule-making authority within the bill for agencies. Okay.
We've experienced that.
So it stands to reason, to answer your question, madam, if the court has to come to the legislature for rule oversight, you're going to set the rules for what evidence can be accepted. Now, the other question I believe you answered, Madam Chair, if I may divert just for a moment. I think you also asked what's the motivation for
I did.
this. Okay. All right. 2 words. Billable hours.
Sure.
It's that simple. It's billable hours for the psycho people. It's billable hours for the attorneys. And if you can't hem that in and say, okay, you've got a timeline that isn't indefinite, you need to be in a box. Now, one of the things we're looking at is 180 days. Get it done in 180 days because you're going to go from a temporary order to a permanent order.
Madam Chairman, follow up?
Go ahead.
So with some of the other testimony we've heard and then a couple of things you've said, from Arizona's perspective, from your perspective, who has jurisdiction over the judges?
Senator?
Well, that's a great question. Madam Chair, Representative Earhart, the state constitution in Arizona is slightly different than the state constitution here. There are a number of mechanisms we have in Arizona. One is impeachment. That's not going to happen because of the division, the political division that we have within the Senate. Although, in a most egregious case, I don't want to preclude my Democrat colleagues from saying, oh, I can't vote no on this because if I do, I'm going to get thrown out of office. We have some egregious cases for consideration. But you also have to have a House of Representatives that's willing to write the articles of impeachment. And quite frankly, it's got to be a pretty, in the words of Speaker Johnson, it's got to be a pretty, at the congressional levels, it's got to be a pretty egregious thing. Well, I'm at the point, Madam Chair, Representative, I think we've arrived there.
I was going to say, Madam Chair, losing one's children is pretty egregious.
Yeah, so impeachment is number one. Number two is judicial non-retention elections. Now, judicial non-retention elections, which seem to me a rather curious means to insulate oneself from being thrown out of office. Perhaps, I'm pretty sure that if you, Madam Chair, or you, Senator Eccles, propose the idea of having non-retention elections for the legislature, you would think that the world just caught fire. Okay, so the other thing we have in Arizona, which I don't believe you have, is direct recall. If a judge has been appointed, it takes 10% of the polity in which that area the judge serves to get on the ballot as an affirmative recall of a judge. Now, from what I understand, you do not have that here, but perhaps the legislature might consider a referral to the ballot if you don't get some kind of activity from the courts. One of the things that we don't have, Madam Chair, and I'll button it up with this.
Okay.
If you think back to the days when we went from the one-room schoolhouse into factory learning, this individual called the principal teacher showed up. It's now the principal. But the principal teacher was a coach, was the oversight of all the teachers within that school. And over time, that morphed into an administrator. But imagine what would happen if the presiding judge of the family court system didn't hear cases, but instead sat in courtrooms and coached the family judges on their behavior from the bench, on their interpretations of law, their negating of fact. Might we perhaps see a change in behavior? Because I think ultimately the family court is not going to go away, but it certainly needs to have some more direct oversight.
I'm going to cut you off. We have almost just about over 30 minutes. We have over 15 people that need to testify, and I definitely, we're going to be having more hearings, and we're going to hopefully have you zoom in to present